I see a live button.
We are live. I'm very excited. So, welcome everyone to a conversation with one of my dear friends, Sandra, about access bars. So, if
Yes.
you follow either one of us on social, you know that we speak about this um, modality, technique, I don't know, a magic wand that is the access bars individually. And I invited Sandra to come on and just have this conversation about what for her, what she's found with bars for herself personally. Hi, Mark. And also what she's found with working with people. Because for me, and I don't know about you, Sandra, but those are two very different conversations because I have personally received so much from the bars, and when I found the bars I was in definite need of something, and it like completely blew my whole world open and allowed me to go in a totally different trajectory than I thought I was going. And then I've had over the I think it's like 15 years now that I have been receiving bars and doing bars with people, that I have seen so many different people, whether they're aware of it or not, like definitely receive a different, like just a shift in their
Yeah.
life, in their livings, their perspectives. So I saw that you had said that today is the day, 8 years ago today was when you
Yes.
had your bars class. Is that true?
Yes. It's like a coincidence, but also maybe not. Yeah, it's very funny. It's today. I was all morning, I was like, there's something with the date today. And then suddenly I was like, oh, it's my anniversary with my first bars class and my
I
first
love
bars
it.
session.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool to have this conversation today.
It is. I'm really glad that we're having it. And it's funny because once you start to get your bars run, you realize there are no coincidences.
Yes, you create everything. Yeah.
Exactly. We're just very energetically aware beings who oftentimes don't know that we are.
Yes, exactly. When I came into my first bars class, I had no idea of energy, which now seems like I can't even believe it. Like I remember years ago, like 15 years ago, I someone had pain and I put my hand on them and it
Mhm.
became warm and I was like, oh my god, it's getting warm. Can you believe it? Like no idea what's happening,
Totally.
and just ignoring that something's happening, but totally clueless of what energy was. And in that first bars class, I was giving bars and I just could feel energy move through my hands and tingling and like whoa, like you're having suddenly this magic in your own hands. It's like quite unbelievable.
It's so true. Like when I went to my first bars class, I had never actually had my bars run. I don't know if you had a session before you actually
No,
chose.
this was like first experience
Yeah,
ever.
okay. I love it. She's
Yeah,
she's a brave one like me. I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna go do this because
yeah.
I just something about it just spoke to me, like my being new. But when I was getting my bars run that first time, it was like the second session. Because for those of you that don't know, when you do a bars class, it's a full day class, and you do a session in the morning, meaning you gift and you receive a bars session, and then in the afternoon you do the same. And so I'd come back from lunch, and the person that I was partnered with, we decided just to start. And I was receiving, so I was laying on the massage table, but it was a big room, lots of people. And I was like right on where people would walk by, like where people were coming and going. And because we started early, there was a lot of people coming and going. And what I still remember to this day was that I could tell when someone energetically was like walking up toward me, walked by me, and then went away. And I could actually tell the difference in the person. It wasn't like I was just seeing a shadow or my eyes were closed, but it was more like I could perceive people's energy because I did not have my eyes open, but everyone who walked by seemed different. And it honestly, same. Like I've spent my whole life very sensitive, um, and at the effect of energy in like major ways, while not believing I knew a lot about energy. I like wished and hoped I did, I think,
Yeah.
but I didn't believe in myself or my ability to perceive energy, which I know sounds
No, no,
really
it's
crazy,
only for gifted people.
right?
It's not like everybody can do this. Yeah.
I remember because I'm like a seeker. So I have like, I don't know if you can see this bookcase in my back. It's like
Mm.
I have so, and I love books, but I have so many books. Like, and I used to teach yoga for years, and I all the esoteric books, like all the books about energy, like all my books have some vein of energy, but I always read them from this place of like, it's them, not me. Like that I don't actually have the ability to perceive energy like that, which again, like you said, isn't it? It's like,
I can't even imagine it now. Yeah.
I'm
Everything is
like,
energy.
now I can't not. It's like, it's like you see the thing that you haven't wanted to see, and now that's all you see.
Yeah.
All
Yeah. It's
everywhere.
like you're going to buy a yellow car, you see yellow cars everywhere. Yeah.
Totally. And I know for a lot of people that hear me and us talk about bars, they don't, it's hard to make that correlation between like having someone gently hold your head for an hour and a half and move their hands around your head, and all of a sudden having this like really freedom and empowerment of knowing that you do perceive energy and the energy is real. It's not some woo woo fabricated thing. It's not only mystics that can perceive it.
Yeah.
Everyone actually has a sense of energy in their very own way. I think that's partially why there has been such an ability to lie to people about their awareness of energy, because we all perceive it so different. So someone says, oh, I perceive it this way and you don't, then what do we all do? We automatically go to like, oh, I must not perceive energy.
I think in the past it was normal to make other certain people bigger and to not know and trust others more than you trust yourself.
You know nothing of what you talk about.
Sorry, delete. So, and
that's one of the reasons I just adore you so much, because like it's so funny too. And I talked about this on another, but I talked about how like if I had never found bars, I would never know the people and have the people in my life that I do. Because you can tell everyone where you're from. Those that don't know, Sandra.
Where am I? What do you mean where I'm from?
Where are you
what
from?
Planet? What country?
In the world?
What do you mean?
Where do you live?
Oh, I live in the Netherlands.
She lives in the Netherlands, and I live in Washington State in the United States of America. And so I would have never met you or known you, and I mean, so that to me is like the icing on the cake, the cherry on top is all the really
I love having people all over the world. And then we, of course, we have many events also around the world. So we find each other everywhere, and it's so magical and somehow makes the world such a cozy place, even because we just go all over.
That is such a good way of putting it. And also to like actually know that there are people out there that had a very similar like life kind of before they found the bars, and also all the tools of access consciousness and after. And we've all had our own experiences with that, but so many of them, like from my perspective, have been empowering. And I know for me, it's totally empowered me to do things that I didn't know I could do. Also to know that I'm aware of things that I didn't know I was aware of before, prior to.
You don't even know you're aware before you begin all of this, because one of the things you learn is that a lot of the thoughts, feelings, emotions aren't even yours. And who tells you this? Like nobody gives you a manual when you start this lifetime.
No. And like, and I think, and please correct me, like, what was your what did you do prior to? You were a nurse, weren't you? Didn't you work in the medical field?
Dialysis nurse.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's one of those fields too. And I had a lot of experience in that field too. Like, I had a degree in community health education, which a lot of the stuff I did was in hospitals. And then I was a doula for years, which most of the births were in hospitals. And so that is a loaded environment to be very energetically aware.
Holy crap.
No,
I'm not knowing about it. Oh my God. I'm like, how can I survive? Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I'm like, and it's like, I look back at all those years and the people that I worked with, and man, everyone is just freaking stressed out to the nines. Yeah. No one really knows how to deal or cope with it. Like the level of stress, and then also the exhaustion, because, well, we say it's because of this, that, and the other thing, but like being present and around bodies that are going through extreme things, whether it be illness or like for me, it was birth. And like how everyone in a room responds to all of that and being aware of energy, but not knowing you are.
Holy shit. Yeah.
We're really strong.
Yes, yes. And also now with all the I couldn't go back because I think it would be even worse because I'm so open to
Totally.
everything. So you see everything. So it's like, and there's so many, yeah, interesting things still in the medical world. And of course, we're making such a difference already, but it's an intense environment to be in.
Totally. And I mean, that's one of the things that and I was thinking about today. I was like, you know, because gosh, I've had my bars run so many times. I mean, I've been doing it once a week since COVID hit. My husband and I was like, oh my God.
I love your bars day.
We have to
Very
trade.
inspiring.
Yeah. Well, it was like very necessary. I was going a little bit nutty because I wasn't traveling. I wasn't seeing all my friends that I could do body work with.
Yeah.
And I was like, we have to just start doing this. And
Yeah.
so we just made that commitment. So I've had my bars run a lot. And I'm like, in a large part, I don't really even totally remember what it was like prior to when I had bars and was able to run bars and all of that. But I was thinking about today, I was like, what's one of the biggest changes? And I was like, wow, like the whole judgment thing and the whole like needing to be correct and perfect and not wrong. And all those things that like just kept me so rigidly solid.
Yeah.
And me as a person, that's so, I think back now and I'm like, I don't even know how I made that work because it's so not how I am. But yet for years and years and years, I had created that. And I mean, I think so many of us don't even know when we've employed very strict structures and judgment guidelines and coping mechanisms.
That's what you know, right? And the
Yeah.
examples you had in your life, and it's normal. So you don't know any better than what you're living. And did you have also effect on your body back then? Like,
Oh, I'm like, come on.
yeah,
My body is
yeah,
like always like communicating to me. And of course, I would always go to the judgment of my body. So just the
just you.
ability, yeah.
I didn't do that ever.
So just the ability to stop myself. And I'm not saying I'm completely recovered from that either. Like
Very deep patterns.
I still would have to show up and I'm like immediately go to the what is this from I got to figure out what it is in order to figure out how to fix it so that I can be like
It's
not
also a
broke.
very medical way of thinking. I have it too because you learn to
Totally.
diagnose stuff, which is like I'm trained for it. So it's
Yes.
like problem shows up. What is it? Ask questions, but like from analyzing the problem and then
Yeah.
fixing the problem. So it's
Totally.
very deep mindset.
It
Yeah.
is. And I mean, and I don't know for you, like I don't think I would have known. Like I didn't I just saw a video of bars and I was like, I don't know what that is, but like I just knew most of us have those moments in our lives where like, I'm going to do that. I don't know what it is. We just know, go in that direction. We would call it following the energy now or awareness. Back then I didn't know those things, but I just saw it and I was like, I'm going to go do that. And honestly, I didn't have any idea of like what I wanted to get out of it.
No, just that you needed to be there.
Just that I could lay there and gift and, have my bars run and then also run other people's bars. And then it's just this magic thing that occurs over where things start to change and you respond differently and your perspective shifts.
Yeah.
And it's not from this, like, I have to, like you said, identify what this is, define it, and then figure out how to fix it and then fix it.
Yeah.
And, because that's such a trap.
Yeah. I actually, like, one of my best friends saw a bars class, like a town away from me.
Mm-hmm.
Two ladies were doing it, and she actually reached my husband at the time, and they gifted it me for my birthday. And I was looking at the bars video for the first time, and I was like, yeah, right, all these happy people. And I was like, I had a life like this with lots of dynamics and health
Mm.
problems. And at the moment, I was in a burnout at home, and my husband at the time just broke his neck. So I was taking care of our 8-month-year-old, burnout, and him. That was like the situation I was in. So that showed up, and I was like, yeah, right. Like ease, joy, and glory. But still, there was a pull, and they gifted it to me. So it's like, I'm curious. So
Yeah.
I went, and then I was also in this rehabilitation program at the time for all of it, and sick from work. And I went, and I started to run bars and swap, and I met the lady that gave the class, became one of my closest friends after we started
Uh-huh.
swapping. And then I started to stop with the rehabilitation. And one of the biggest tools I learned in that class was asking if something is light or heavy for you,
Yeah.
which became my favorite tool because it was so clear with my body to ask this. And
Yeah.
then I was fighting to go back to work, and there were so many things going on. And I was like, do I even want to go back? And it was so heavy. So I
Yeah.
just quit my job on this feeling in my body like, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
it's so heavy. And then I just started to play with my bars classes and give sessions, and I just got more happy. It didn't make any sense to give up your job and have one income, but I just trusted. I don't know. And now I'm like, wow, you were so brave. And then
Yeah.
I got to do more classes, and later in that year, I met Kalpana already
Yeah.
just by writing her, because I got this download, because there was finally space in my head instead of all the thoughts that drive you crazy sometimes, but space and awareness and following energy, which we don't even, if you don't run bars, it's very different.
It
It's
is
very
very different.
cool
And
in here.
I think sometimes, even if people stumble on the tools, I mean, the tools, the basic tools that we talk about, like the light and heavy tool and, being in the question and getting out of judgment. It's like, for me, I'm so grateful I got all that stuff at the same time and I started to get my bars run, because I don't know if I had not gotten my bars run and then and then have the door open for all the other tools. I'm not sure I would have trusted myself enough in that moment
Yeah.
to start to use them,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
You'll be like, holy shit, I'll never do that again, because it's like coming at you, and you're like, ah, you know? Yeah. What do you do without tools? But I hope people that, give people their first session, that they're
yeah,
like, hey, I'm here if something shows up, like
absolutely.
kind of this space, that would be great.
Yes, because I mean, I definitely, for me, when I first, I was one of those people that like was a seeker, and I had some stuff going on, and had tried so many different things. So I will say I was still looking, but I basically like had lost a lot of hope, and I was pretty skeptical of a lot of things, because so many things that I had tried hadn't worked for me in the way that it looked like they worked for other people. And so bars was really the first thing that I just was like, I'm not going to overthink it.
Yeah. Which
For
is the
me,
point
it's
of
like,
bars in the first
I'm
place.
gonna I'm gonna chop my arms and my legs off, and I'm gonna try this thing. Because if I'm not overthinking, like especially back then, I'm not existing on the
Yeah.
planet.
Yeah.
So I just was like, I'm just not gonna overthink it, and I'm just gonna do this for myself, and I'm gonna see what shows up. And I could have never in a million years predicted the direction in which things were going to go, and all the things that showed up. And I really kind of took that approach even when I started like using bars, because I was being a practice, like was going to births at the time, so I was like a practicing doula, and I was like, I'm just gonna, if this does what they say it's gonna do, I'm gonna use this with my pregnant women before birth and see what it changes. And the changes that I saw in my clients over the next year, I could not have predicted, and I could not have made it up. It was just, and I could not deny it. So I was like,
I can
okay.
imagine you now as a doula. Oh my God. You would make every birth like bloop, like body work and SOP and like, all the
Well, and the
magic
funny
tricks.
thing is, like, back then, it's like, in hindsight, I look back and I'm like, because one of the things that if you're familiar with access consciousness, or you're familiar with the bars, or you're familiar with any of this work, one of the things that starts to happen is you like dig yourself out of the hole that you put yourself in. So you start to actually realize you have all these talents, abilities, and capacities. And oftentimes we've been using them, sometimes to our detriment. Like we use them against ourselves, or we use them in such a like a minimal like way because we don't actually know how to be with the ability. Like I didn't realize how much I actually communicated with the babies that were in utero, like during a birth, like leading up to the birth, but like really during that birth process where everything like intensifies. Like I didn't realize the whole time I was communicating with the baby. And most of the stuff I was really led a lot of times by the baby. And I would never have known that's what was going on. I just, I would go and be there and things would happen and then I would leave. And I thought it was all very normal. And then after starting to get to know myself,
no acknowledgement whatsoever.
Holy shit, that wasn't normal at all. Like at all. And
normal for you. Yeah. Wow.
Which I think is one of my, like, I mean, the gift of the bars. Like, I don't even know what my favorite thing is, but I think it's like the beginning for me of the possibility of really getting to truly know who you are and like what you are actually capable of that no one has ever told you. And it's not because people don't like you or wouldn't want you to know that. They don't know it either.
Yeah, no, it's not on purpose. Yeah, there's so many things, and it's just the ease that it can bring to your life. And I know sometimes if I don't do it for a while, there's a lot of resistance building up to letting my bars run because I'm very controlling and my head kind of takes over. And then everything starts to be more difficult again. And like something that normally takes you 10 minutes takes you an hour. And then you finally allow it, at least me, and then say, oh, yeah, this is available. Oh, that's better.
I know for me, one of the things that really shows up, and I know I need a session, is like I become extraordinarily hard on myself. Like when I start to when I start to be aware of like the internal dialogue and how
it's critic comes out.
Yeah, it's like turned on myself. I'm like, okay, obviously
Thank you for that. I think that would be a good flag for me too. Yeah.
Obviously I require a bar session, or like for my husband and I mean, we trade bars now every week. But there are times, I mean, life is life, when you get out and you're mixing it up in the world, stuff shows up, and we have difficult weeks, we have difficult time periods, and sometimes you need more than other times. And so my husband and I, when we're like, it's such a gift to be like, let's do this thing to help nurture us and like to like move through different energies that show up, because
and do it as a nurturance, like preventative even, because I think I need bars because I'm a raging bitch right now. So, a little bit too late, maybe. It's
so helpful though. Like it's such a gift to have that ability to like to have that in my back pocket if I need it. Because I can remember before bars, I would get into these states and I literally couldn't get myself out of them. And I would just be so
stuck.
Like, and intense and always toward myself. But then that always, it's like how you treat yourself is how you end up treating the people around you. And I never desired to treat people like that, but I was totally doing that to myself.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's like looking through a filter. It's not even,
Totally. And I look back, I look back and I'm like, wow, like, and I mean, it wasn't like I didn't have other things I was using or attempting to use, but for me, bars has always been such an easy thing to deploy when required.
Yeah.
That I mean, my target is that everyone knows about bars and that everybody at least has the ability to choose it if they so desire. People don't choose it, that's fine too, but I just want to be sure that people know that it's available, because I don't know what would have happened had I not. My girlfriend basically sent me a video, a little like YouTube of Dane here.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't seen that, I don't know.
Same. I don't want to know where I would have gone with everything.
Yeah.
Drowned and even with my body, because as a nurse, I didn't know that my stuff wasn't mine. So a lot of stuff from my patients aligned with my medical past, which was insane. So I just became sicker and sicker. And I was like hitting a surgery before I found access on in my uterus with endometriosis, which was growing like crazy. And all the body work actually made it disappear, which is like
Amazing.
impossible. And people lie about miracles. Well, I've experienced many miracles since I
Yeah.
found access.
Yeah.
And even my son was very sick with his heart. He had 4 heart defects when he was born, and we made 3 of them go away before he had surgery with body work.
That's amazing.
So energy, it just really works. And there's bar facilitators, practitioners all over the world.
Totally.
You can find them on the accessconsciousness.com website. And I know a lot of people like, try this, it works, and then you don't believe it. But if there's like a little spark that's like, maybe, follow the maybe and just go.
Yeah. And just try it. Like, that's what I'm always saying to people, like, just try it. If you don't have the same experience that both of us have had, that's okay too. And but what, like, for me, it's like, what do you have to lose than to actually try it? And you don't have to take a bars class, although I do recommend it, because then you have the tool and you can use it with like your loved ones. You can obviously use it in your partnerships, and like if you have children, you can use it with your children. But I think it's a very unique time in history where I think people are actually so much more savvy and so much more open to the idea that energy is a thing, that it's not just rhetoric. It's not something we're making up, that you can actually facilitate a lot of change with someone, whether it be mental change or physical change, by addressing the energy that is underneath a lot of what we have decided or been told is unchangeable. And so
everything is changeable, like
everything. Well, I know that both Sandra and I are doing bars classes, and so you can look us up specifically on the Access Consciousness website. And as Sandra mentioned, there are practitioners who are people that can give you a session of bars, and there are facilitators, which are people that are in the world actually showing people how to do this amazing technique. And you can find them on the Access Consciousness website as well. And again, it's like worldwide, it's global. Please find someone near you. If anything in this conversation spoke to you, give yourself the gift of at least.
But that's it. Like it's about you receiving. Like, when do you have a moment that's like just for you and you don't have to do anything, and somebody's gently touching your head and it does its magic. It's that alone was like super uncomfortable for me, to lie down and to just have to do nothing. And what a gift, right? So it opens up your receiving of everything. Like everything starts to flow more in your life, away from the stuck. Anyway, we can talk for hours.
We could talk forever. Moral of the story is, gift yourself the gift of Access Bars. And come find Sandra and I if either one of us ping for you. And we'll see you on the next live.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.